Hello again, friends. Welcome to the third chapter and part of our Planning Personal Finances, Successful Money Management. Now we have an idea, again, how important personal finances are through the first chapter and how to increase our income and careers over our lifetime. Let's get back into the actual management of our money. The power of saving money, why it is so important. Friends, we live in the world's wealthiest country, yet the average family does not have $1,000 in the bank. That's according to the U.S. Commerce Department. Yikes. It's been around 600 in savings. It has gone up, but not to where it should be. If we look at the Japanese culture and how much they save on average 28% of after-tax income. Their savings accounts are some of the highest in the world, if not the highest, at least over $20,000 per family. So we have room for improvement, and we know why we need to save and the power of saving money. Three basic reasons, my friend. Emergency fund. We've talked about this a little bit in the first chapter, but we're gonna hit this and drill it in every time we can. Emergencies happen. Murphy's Law happens. In life we seem to get commercial breaks of happiness and peace and things are going well. And then all of a sudden, boom, the commercial's over and life hits us. The car doesn't start, bad battery, the brakes don't work well. If you have children, well, then it's an emergency almost every day. So we have to plan for those emergencies, and that's why we save for them, so we don't have to whip out a credit card and get into so much terrible debt. Purchases, something that maybe your great grandparents did. They actually saved up their money and then they purchased their cars, etc. And of course, wealth building. We've got to save for wealth building. Three basic reasons. All right, so that's one of the first steps of our money management. Remember those goals we talked about, those SMART goals. All right, we talked about that in the first chapter. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time limited. A SMART goal would be to save money. Now, we can't just say, hey, I want to save money, because at the end of the year, $2 more in our bank account. Technically, mathematically, yeah, we may have saved money. But and realistically, we didn't, because inflation ate that up, and we just stayed the same. So most people can't save money, cannot. Set aside the very, very wealthy. We know what we're talking about, that 70% of Americans, that big chunk of American families. But they want to save, okay? How do we create a goal to do that? Now, goals are good. They are good. But goals must have a system to succeed. This is a great book that I would recommend you buy and as soon as you can. It is Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it's just fantastic. Okay, it's proven ways to get good habits and to break habits that we don't like. So we had a goal of saving $2,000 a year. Now let's just pretend it's January 1 and it's not 2020. Okay, it's a better year than 2020. Let's just say it's a year. All right, it's January 1st. You're looking at your bank account. It is $500, okay? And you say, you know what, I'm going to save $2,000 a year. Now we go forward to December 31st of that year. Uh-oh, wait a second, let me write myself a check for $2,000, and then I can say I saved $2,000. We would meet our goal, correct? Yeah. What is the likelihood, the relevance, the realistic ability that would happen after Christmas now? We're usually looking we don't want to look at our bank accounts. If we did, it's not a very good number. Could the average person save to just write a check or somehow put $2,000 in? Probably not. Probably not. So, okay, we got to break it down. Now, the system was to save $167 a month. If you multiply 167 times 12, you're going to get $2,004. All right. That's a lot. 167 is very hopefully doable. versus putting in $2,000 on December 31st. But if I wait till the end of the month to put in $167, if I pay all my other bills and I go out and I do my normal stuff, that in itself would well, you know what? I'm going to catch it up next month. Ooh, that means next month I would have to have $320, and then the next month would be yeah, absolutely. That's gonna be hard. So let's have a system. Now, in project management, we call a WBS a work breakdown structure. Let's get things down to the smallest unit that we possibly can. Break down the work. What if we save $38.50 a week? $38.50 sounds better than $167, which sounds better than $2,000 at one time. If we did a recurring transfer, the way to get a habit going your way, a positive habit, is to make it easy, make it doable, make it reoccurring, make it automatic and less painful. $38.50. Now, most of us in this course more than likely have bill pay. All right, we do online banking. You can make a transfer every Monday, $38.50. Sometimes we can trick our minds into doing things. Again, the easier and less painful it is, the easier it is to do. So we could just put 3 transfers, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, of $13. Wow, that's a Chipotle right there. That's a Starbucks and Chipotle order. You see what I'm saying? If we did that, however we come up with $38.50 a month, in 5 years, you've got 10 grand. Now think of yourself right now, your age, 5 years ago. Do you have 10, and now go to where you are, do you have $10 more thousand in your bank account? If you did, congratulations, you're doing very well. Most of us never had a system or a goal or a way to do it. So, wow, 5 years, $10,000, 1 year, $2,000, 10 years, 20 grand. Something that can be very painless. That's the system. All right, I'm in the situation, Randy, that I don't know if I can do $2,000 a year. We want to get the system in place so when you start increasing your income, you can do even more. So do $19.50 every Monday. 5 years, you got 5 grand. Okay? Think of yourself, if you're in your 20s, all right, now, and by your time you're 25, you got an extra $5,000. And then if you get more stronger employment, you can hit that to $38.50 a week. Well, I don't have enough to do that. I want to get you still in the system of creating the habit. What about $9.50 every Monday? In the next 5 years, you've got $2,500. You got $500 a year going in. And then you can up that. Goals are great. But unless we have a system to succeed, I want to be in better health. We all want to be in better health. And some of that is beyond our control, but if it is in our control, then, we said, I'm going to hit the workout, I'm going to hit the gym 7 days a week, and I'm going to bust it for an hour and a half. You may make it to the gym one time to do that. But if you were simply to say, hey, I'm going to do every morning 20 sit-ups or crunches and 10 push-ups every single day. I wake up and before I go to bed, and then I'll drink a green smoothie in the morning. Those systems will help you succeed to get in much better health than trying to shoot for the moon. So make it simple, make it easy, make it automatic. We now have a goal, my friends, to start saving some money. And again, if you're at a bigger income rate, well, I think you know what to do. You can make that into $80 every Monday, and again, see what happens, how fast it happens. Emergency funding. I'll say it often, and I'll say it always. This is possibly the most important financial decision that you ever make. And you're saying, what? What about retirement? What about everything else? Everything is important, but this dictates how we construct our financial plan. Because unexpected events happen and we must get ready for them. So our first baby step, certainly in the college years or whatever year we're in, can we get to $3,000 as fast as we can, saving money? at least $1,000, and put that into the bank or put that somewhere that is just for emergencies. Now, I love to fish. If you've seen the headings on this course, and I love to buy fishing equipment. I saved up that $3,000. That's not supposed to go to, new rods and reels and all my fishing equipment. That is going for just emergencies. That's what it's for. If you've ever had a crown because you broke a tooth, it's $1,200, and that's a bad dentist. I mean, that's no Novocaine. Okay, if you have a root canal to go in with a broken tooth with the crown, now we're talking $2,500 to $3,000. Brakes for your car, you know that. Books for school. Aren't you glad I let you get that used copy and you could save so much money? These are what we always have, our emergency funds. Let's look at what we're in right now, the COVID-19. And friends, this is not going away anytime soon. This is a slow burn, which means it's going to last for years. We've got to get that emergency fund up. A fully funded emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses, okay? Those expenses right there, so that could be a $70,000 income, then you want $7,000 to $10,000. If you are at an 80 or above, my best estimate for you is $10,000 to $15,000. If something bad happens, and bad things are happening, could you go 3 months without an income? And you could at least pay your expenses, not the things we want, but just food and the basic, the house, the rent, the corners of your foundation. That's why that emergency fund happens. Now, I put this little squirrel on here because it's just a little aside. I had some squirrels years ago. It's going on a decade now. I think it was in 2010. But they got into my chimney from the roof. And of course, the chimneys there's something different. It got in between the chimney and the exhaust pipe. All that meant is the squirrel died. I had no idea. I'd heard a little scratching, and then the smell was just horrific if you've ever had a dead animal in the house. And we couldn't take it, and we couldn't get it out. We had to have the entire fireplace removed from the house. We had to have a $10,000 renovation just to get a fireplace out so we could get that smell out. And I think we found the squirrel had a few friends with him. Luckily, I had saved, and normally when some of that happens, well, I'm going to go out and take a second mortgage, all right, and we'll do a renovation loan and pay all that back. I did have the money, and I was able to pay all that out, and it came out looking really good. But that's something you don't think about every day, that a little animal may get into the house somehow or get in through the roof and then can't get out. So, emergency funds, things that you don't even think about. That's why we want to have them versus breaking into credit or any investments that we have. Purchases. I know we are told, it is culture that we're told you're always going to have a car payment in your rest of your life. And that means we usually buy new cars, and we just don't seem to get rid of things. We tend to pay them on purchase. We are a purchasing economy. We know that we're a consumption economy. But what if we did save? Again, if we save $300 a month in the bank for 16 months, or you got $5,000. And you could probably go out and buy a pretty decent cash car, all right? But you go that in a few more months, and you may get $7,000 to $10,000. The great thing about that is you wouldn't have to purchase your car twice, because if you look at all the interest and finance charges, and of course, we'll talk about auto purchasing. When you do buy a car that you finance, you have to have increased insurance. You have to have comprehensive, not just liability. So you could pay that car 2 times by the time it's ever paid off. Save up, my friends, and use cash. Something about cash is you can negotiate discounts. Many times you can. It's hard to do doing debt. It's immediate, it's emotional. There's no emotion swiping through. When we look at, should we start even just our basic purchases with cash? Now, I know right now we're doing different things with our money, but in a time, because of the COVID-19, in a time where we were going through stores and just debiting out real quick, when you start paying with cash, you get a little more emotionally tied. You know all the all the people on those bills between the 10, the 5, the 20, the 50, and the $100 bill, you don't want to give those out too quickly. If I'm swiping through with a debit or credit card, you know what happens. Uh, it's interesting. There's no emotion. So purchases with cash and saving up versus having to pay for it twice. Well, emergency funds are important. Saving up for purchases, that's important. But this is key right in here, wealth building. Again, it's that systematic approach that we just learned. It's discipline. If we can be consistent over time, if you just want to, and you can do this with any type of saving app that you may have on your phone or online, saving $100 a month every month for the next 40 years at 12% will build you over $1 million. So there's a good question right in here. And I believe it's one of your discussion board questions in our class here. How can you save an extra $100 a month? Okay, now that's probably coming into in the next discussion boards we have. You'll find it. I want to know what you do to save it, because we can learn. I've got some great answers from students I never even thought about. That extra $100 a month. How can we save it up? That's all we're talking about. We're not talking about everything you have. How can we save, my friends? There's a great book called The Millionaire Next Door. It's written by Thomas Stanley. It was written in the 1980s to the early 90s. So this is before we had a lot of what was called the internet explosion of millionaires popping up left and right because of the stock values they hold. This was just, how did people do it? And during this time, and it's probably the most intense research on the compilation of wealth, how people got it. Here's how they did it. By the time they were in their upper 50s to 60s, they were worth a few $1 million. Well, wow, I'd like to do that. How did they do it? They lived below their means. Number one, if you read through the book, they were very frugal people. Their average salary was about $45,000 a year. Now, that's something you do not equate with being a millionaire. So today, that average salary, maybe it's $90,000, okay, at a high point. All right. They would always purchase their cars, but they'd buy a 3 to 6 year old car. Never bought a new car. They knew that someone else needs to take the depreciation hit. I'm not going to take it. Let someone else hit it, and I'll buy a nice one, okay, but I usually pay cash for it. Their house was paid off, was a $150,000 value, so today their value probably $300,000. Well, if we just doubled it, and we may not even have to go that high, maybe 250, which means they could have always had a bigger home, a bigger car, a bigger lifestyle, but they chose not to. Their emergency fund, again, pretty conservative. They would believe in the following: $25,000 to $50,000 for emergencies. You know, their net worth was between 1.5 and $3 million. It took 30, 35 years, 25, 35. It took a long time. They were called the Millionaire Next Door just because you could not recognize them. You would not think that this person right here, this family's worth $3-4 million in cash because of their investments of what they've done. Any rate, that's something to look at. It's the power of saving. It kind of reframes the best way to do it. Those small incremental steps that we've just talked about, the system in place. So for those of you who have the time on your side, let's start. We start right now, any of us. But I think you can understand those, in a 20-year-old range, you can really, really start changing some of the things and driving your future, my friends. Interesting question. Who are the best savers? Now, this right in here was taken at the height of the economy. And we've done it. It's gone forth for 20 years. But back before 2008, before that Great Recession, and we're going to call this something different, but the first Great Recession, the economy was just on fire, and people doing very, very well. So we wondered, what do you think right in here? Incomes of $10,000 to $30,000, 40 to 75, 80 to 110, or the 125 to the 190. So out of that, A, B, C, or D, who do you think is the best? Are the best savers? Well, most of us would say I would probably think this one. I mean, this would make sense, wouldn't you? If you've got some money, you've got leftover money. Even in here, it's got to be that answer. And I would think you're absolutely right. Oops, we're not. This was the best saving group, which means they saved on average 5 to 7% per year. Well, a question arises, who were the worst savers? Okay. Well, you would think, well, then probably, you're just getting by right in here. So I'm thinking, ooh, D. Interesting. This group right here, between 2000 and 2008, and again, these were amazing years for the economy. It was just really on fire. It was an employee's dream. You could go to any company you wanted to with the right education and get that job. They had a negative savings rate, which means they spent more than they earned. Interesting, 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 friends. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. And that's an old saying right there. But think of that. Not what you make, but certainly what you keep. And we're figuring out ways to save even more. All right, the financial plan, there's the big one. I just want to keep going over this. That's when you're ready to go and once you've got your education finished. But there's our financial plan for our college years. Again, whatever we can do, the fastest route we can start saving $1,000 to $3,000. If those of you are fortunate enough to get any gifts from friends or more likely family, don't spend it. Hoard it into a emergency fund. Keep that debt as small as you can. All right, we know things are going to happen. Graduate, you're always going to make more when you graduate. Okay, I didn't say go to the most expensive private school and graduate. I said we've got to graduate, ruthlessly pay off our loans. Okay, I'm going to show you how to ruthlessly pay off debt in our second unit, which is called the culture of debt. And then we're going to go to our original plan in here. Now, for all of this to start making sense, and I hope it's starting to make sense, but to really, really start, okay, I'm interested. I've got to start doing a better job of managing my finances. We've got to have a cash flow plan. Cash flow plan is just a nice word, according to Dave Ramsey and Larry Burkett and so many others, Susie Orman. It's better than a budget, because budget means, ooh, I don't want that. That's scary, and I'm going to fail at budgeting. We're planning our cash. That's all it is. So, giving money a name really helps, because if we had those stack of $100 bills in our pocket, and if we had 40 of them, or $4,000 for the month, or $2,000 or $1,000, and we did not give it a name, I bet it would be out of our pockets pretty quickly. So, rent is a name for cash. Food, utilities, tax, insurance, etc. Money that's left unaccounted for. Savings, that's a name. Fun, spending, absolutely, that's a name too. But if it's left out of a personal financial plan, if I haven't named it, accounted for it, it's going to find a way. It's going to make its own name. All right, and that may be Bass Pro Shops. That may be Victoria's Secret. That may be Dillard's. That may be just something fun that we didn't really plan for. This is an old-time system. Again, maybe your grandparents, depending where your age is. My grandparents were in the Great Depression and before, and they always seemed to have cash, but they put it in these things right in here, envelopes. You can start putting cash in an envelope and start paying for with cash. Or, again, a very detailed system, all right, an envelope system right in here. What I like to do is, is Christmas an envelope here? Absolutely it is. So here we are if we're in June, all right, wherever we are, did you start saving for Christmas? What if you put $50 a month, $50 every month in an envelope for cash? Or, again, if you're completely online and your bank allows you to make another account at no service charges, then $50 transfer. You'd have $600 extra for Christmas when December hits. So think about that. We're always saving in advance and saving for our, car expenses. So here's a good percentage take home, and these are in your notes. Maybe you want to give something to somebody, all right, to an organization that you like, all right. You want to give some money back, all right. Again, 5 to 10%, saving 5 to 10%, housing. No more than 35% of your monthly take-home pay should go to housing. Okay, and that's including a lot there, my friends. That's including insurance. It's including upkeep of the home. I bolded these two right in here because this is where so many families are out of control and their budget or their cash flow or their finances just don't work very well. Utilities, food and sundries, all right, all the stuff that we need, medical, depending if we have to pay, we should always put a little bit aside for medical, even if you have insurance, because you're going to have to pay big copays. Recreation fund, debts, 5 to 10%. We're coming up with 100, all right, and those are what you will find on most any financial planning site, the appropriate percentages. So let's make a cash flow plan. Now you can base this on your own income, and this is also a bonus question for you, which I think is great to do. You get bonus points, and it just helps you start the cash flow plan system. And again, I have in your appendices and in your notes, you have the forms to do it. Print them out, save all the stuff I've given you, my friends. It's yours now. And so if you are to do the bonus question and you don't have an income yet, base things on a $45,000 a year job. Okay, I'm thinking that's an entry-level salary right about now, and let's see what happens. So let's say you want to give $100. Let's see how fast money can get out of our can be spent, and we want to spend this before we get our paycheck. And let's do it on a monthly basis. It just makes easier sense. Every month I give $100. I put $100 in my emergency fund. Rent, $950. For those of you who are very fortunate to still be living at home, and it's a good situation, well then stay there. Don't move out, because this is what you get to look forward to. And $950 a month rent is nominal right now. That's not, that may not be the nicest place around. It's just nominal. So electricity, water, this is an apartment. Phone, internet, TV, your total housing's $1,280. You've got food, $400 a month. That's some ramen and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because that's only $100 a week. And so I'm just trying to get it down to conservative where you can play with the numbers. Maybe you go out to eat, maybe you have it delivered, more than likely. $480. Your car payment, I know it. Hey, luckily we're not in class, so you cannot throw anything at me. You're saying car payment $200. What planet am I living on? Well, let's say it's a car you're going to keep for a while. All right, you've got the car payment down. Gas and oil, $125. Well, hey, one good thing. Well, I don't want to say good, but one interesting thing about where we are today is most of us are working from home, and so we may not need that car as much as we did in the past. Repairs, fees, insurance for that car, $2403 a month. All right. I'm just breathing right now, and I'm eating a little bit of food, and I have my car. Oh, clothing, all right. Maybe you're spending $75 a month for new clothes. I know that's a very low number there. Dry cleaning on, you got to get those if you're in a professional wardrobe. Some life insurance, just basic stuff here, my friends. A little bit of blow money, all right. Going out, having some fun. That's not a ton of fun at $80 a month, but right now we are being very creative in what we're doing. Recreation, no, I'm not going to do anything. Couple of bills here. I've just totaled everything up, and I'm getting $27.73. Okay, that is my outlay. All right, my income, it just depends on a $45,000 take-home net pay. It's going to come to about $2,700. Minus your taxes, minus your insurance, minus any benefits. Yikes, I'm minus 73. You see why I didn't want to do this? I hate doing this stuff because I'm already losing money. We want this to be zero is what we want. Now, wow, that part-time business idea, an extra $600 a month, that could be great. That could do some different things. This tells us where we are. We can make adjustments. Maybe our income can be a little more than that. So the cash flow plan just lets us know where our money is going so we can make adjustments. 70% of Americans do not have any idea where their money goes. Well, we have the idea, but they don't plan for it. This is very key. This is the foundations that we're marking right in this first unit for our financial plan, my friends. So, we do it again. Don't worry. All right, you will literally give yourself a raise. Once you know where your money's going, you're going to say, well, maybe I'm going to put it in this area and I'm going to keep saving it. It's a hard process. It does take several months to get it right. Don't give up. Don't give up on it. You'll get it right. We don't want to be broke. We want to know where our money is going. For those of us, again, who are still living at home, you can see now. Save up 10 grand. Save $10,000 before you move out. Again, if it's a good situation, and I realize that's not always the case, but if it's a good situation at home, save as much as you possibly can before you get out, because you can see how fast money does travel. And for those of us who got out in different ways and got out fast of the home, $10,000 would have been great in the bank account or more. So there we are, cash flow planning. Yes, it does take work. And on the bonus project, I have questions down there once you do it. Again, what is the ratio of your house and your car, your rent payments, and are these sustainable as well? A system, my friends, a personal financial records system. Very important. Personal financial records system, friends. We do need to be very organized when it comes to our finances. And the more organized we are, the easier it is to access important information. So that's why we need a record system. And I believe this is another question for you on your project. So, what does a system do? We handle our daily affairs of paying our bills. Do we have a certain time of the week or month that we pay our bills? And I'm assuming many of us are using online bill pay, which makes it automatic, and so that's come a long way. We want to always, have access to our records via paper, printed out, and or online to see how we're measuring ourselves. Again, we improve upon that which we measure. Of course, the taxes. All right, that's going to be a next chapter that we're going to look at. But for those of you who are self-employed, which is fantastic. You know that you have a lot of record keeping to do. More than likely, you have to pay your taxes quarterly. But we want to look at taxes just more than once a year. What can we do to improve during the year? And of course, investment decisions, again, our budget. So we need a nice system to have all of our financial records. A home file, a safe deposit box on your computer, on some sort of storage. Let's look at this. Yeah. Most of us are very tech savvy now. Again, make sure you're creating folders just for your personal information. Okay, that would have your tax records for those of us doing it through TurboTax or H&R Block or any type of financial software. Have that accessed very easily. Your credit records. Makes a good idea to get on a Word format or Excel or whatever your software of choice is, to put all your credit cards, their numbers, their phone numbers, in case you need to call and report a stolen card. Makes really great sense there. All your records there. Of course, if you have large purchases with warranties, a lot of us just stick that in a drawer. However, a small little filing system to always have that ready is such a great thing to have. Records, insurance, investments, estate planning records as well, because in the event something happens to you, and with this pandemic, we have seen things that is just horrifying. Families being, loved ones dying out. Do you have everything where somebody could get to your financial life, so to speak, and take over for you? Okay, and that's what we will continue to look at through this course. We'll look at power of attorneys and all the other documents that you're going to need, but we need to put them, and here's a great thing. Again, let's not make this complicated. A nice safe deposit box, or really a home safe that's waterproof and fireproof. You can get these at Walmart for about 30 to 60 bucks, anywhere in between. And so right in there, you got your key. For those of us who have families, of course, your marriage certificate, your birth certificates, if anyone dies, your death certificate, and we'll look at that in our last unit, wrapping up our financial plan, why those death certificates are very important to have for a loved one. And so citizenship, military, adoption, I mean, you name it here, your serial numbers, photos of valuables. It's great to go through your home, your apartment, where you are, and take pictures of assets that you have, purchases, like your computer, like your iPad, like your Surface Pro, if you have any jewelry, if you have any expensive fishing equipment, like a $400 Shimano Calcutta Conquest reel that my wife doesn't know about. Yeah, you want to take pictures of that, and so if something happens, a fire happens, you can easily go to your insurance company and say, hey, these are my valuables. And I had a list of them all in this box, my friends. Your bank account numbers, mortgage, paper, titles. Yeah, I'm looking at this and saying I could do a lot better job. I have them, but that's what it's for. We all learn and have to get better at this. Rare coin stamps, a copy of your will, and if you're over 18, if you're 18 years or older, then you need a will. And again, we'll look at that as we wrap up our financial plan in the 4th unit. Put everything right in there, and all of a sudden, whew, if something happens, tell your most significant other, your partner, your wife, your husband, your parents, your children, that if anything happens, as I tell them, if I die, don't cry. First, open this box. Here's everything you need to know of how to access any account. And again, we will look at, hopefully, there'll be some sort of a power of attorney where they can easily go to an executor information and take care of business. Simple, my friends. Of course, I know a lot of us do keep records on our computers. We scan them in, or you basically create a PDF. You can print to PDF, and I think that's great. Lots of great apps out there. Make sure you password protect that file. That's something that is very important. And again, if you need to, just Google up how to password protect a file on a PC and how to do it on a Macintosh. I use an iMac most of the time, or a MacBook Pro, and there's you basically you're making another disk, and it's password protected, because I know most of our systems now are automatically saving to the cloud, which is very convenient. If you're on your phone and you need to get something, you can get any file you need, but you want to password protect that. Again, secure our financial information as much as we possibly can to not have any type of identity theft. How long should I keep stuff? I'm going through a process right now where my mother is in assisted living. My father passed away over a decade ago. And I'm going, and we're having to liquidate her house. And I've seen stuff my father kept from the 1950s. That's probably too long. Probably too long. Well, your birth certificates, your wills, Social Security data, yes. Also, put your Social Security card. Never, ever carry that in your wallet or your purse. That is an original card, document by the government. Keep it in that lockbox safe you have, and you only need to take it out like when you show it for a passport or an I-9 form, I believe you're getting employment. So that is always kept. Okay. Investments, property, if you have stocks and bonds, obviously you keep those until you convert them into cash. Okay. And so real estate deeds, again, this isn't a lot of stuff, but bills, receipts, your tax returns, and supporting data. Basically 7 years is always the rule of thumb. So we're looking right now, anything 2013 and up to the present you could keep, but anything 2012 and beyond, I think you're pretty safe of shredding that information, and that's probably what you definitely want to do. I like that. Probably, definitely find a shredder and shred your financial information, because there's too many numbers on it, and you usually have bank account numbers. Of course, your Social Security number's on there, more than likely, so make sure those are really properly disposed of, because there are people who do dumpster diving. There are people who know how to do it very well and create a different identity for themselves. So we don't want that to happen. Balance sheet. All right, our personal balance sheet. Step one. Here's our net worth. This is how we measure our financial health, my friends. If you are an accountant, if you are studying business, and you have your own business, we'd have to do this for our own organizations we work for, so let's do it for ourselves. So our assets, this is what we own, my friends. So liquid assets, any cash, bank accounts. If you're buying your home, that's a tremendous asset. Okay, any of your personal possessions, again, go back and look at the things that we have bought that we believe have value. If you have art, if you have gold, silver, any other assets, list the things what you own. And of course, you could certainly put your automobile in there. Be careful on your automobile, because although we love them with all our hearts, our cars and our trucks and our motorcycles and boats, they're not as worth as much as we think they are, and unless you're driving a Bentley. But so be very, very conservative of what you believe that is worth. List those up, all right? And then we got to list up what our liabilities are. Again, this is the general accounting equation. Owner's equity equals assets minus liabilities. So our liabilities, what we owe. Current liabilities are what we say less than 1 year. Okay, maybe you have a short-term loan or even somewhat of things that have to be paid back. And then we have the long-term liabilities. Of course, if you own a home, or if you're purchasing a home, or you're purchasing a car, and you may have a 5-year note, you may have a 30-year note on your house. We put that there as well. And then here's what we do. We just minus, it's simple addition and subtraction, your assets, what we own minus what we owe. And this will tell us where we are. Again, it's the first step of our financial journey here, what our worth is. And hopefully it's positive, very hopefully so. Sometimes in life it could be negative. Certainly when we're just starting out, when you're just buying that home for the first time, and you are still paying off debts from college or from any education you have, or car, everything that we put in there, we may not have that. As we mature and go through life to our 30s and 40s and 50s, we're really hoping this is a positive, a very healthy positive number. So, how do we increase this net worth? Again, it's the indication of our financial health on a given date. Well, we can increase savings. Absolutely. We now have a system to do that. We can reduce spending. And I believe tremendous amounts of families since 2008 in the United States, when the Great Recession hit, we have been trying to save more and reduce our spending. And I think we're doing it right now. Again, increasing the value of our investments and other possessions. That is, we're investing more and trying to pay off that debt. So what we want to do is make this area stronger, okay, larger, and then pay down that debt. That's going to increase our net worth. Again, it's just a financial gauge, but I think we see right here, it's not what we make, it's what we're keeping and how we're managing that money. Because earlier we saw that incomes that were doing very well throughout this new millennia, the higher the income, weren't saving that much in that $100,000 to $200,000 range. So we can do it. Let's just do a quick example here. If your house has 193, your household assets are 193, and the liabilities are 88, well then there it is. There's our net worth. We have $105,000 worth of net worth, which if we ever go out for a different loan in life, maybe we want to do a home improvement, maybe you want to purchase a business, maybe you want to get a loan for a business loan, that's the first item that a banker looks at is, well, what's your net worth? And if it's a good net worth, they say, okay, we believe that you have the capacity to pay that back. Now, I'm just throwing this in here. For those of you who have taken accounting or finance, other finance course, or you will in your business education, if you pursue that, you'll something called a quick ratio. And again, we use it more for the businesses and organizations, and it's just how fast, how much liquidity do you have? It's not a be-all, end-all ratio, but it's just interesting to look at. You look at your liquid current assets by your current liabilities, and so we're looking at what is cash right now. If something goes wrong, do I have the ability to pay things back pretty quickly? And so for personal finance, I'm putting in cash, bank accounts that are very liquid, and my monthly net pay. Okay, and some financial professionals would be, if they're very conservative, say, well, what if you lost your job? Can you still put that monthly net pay in there? But we're going to go ahead and do that. Look at current liabilities. So credit cards, those are current liabilities. Rent, yeah, car payment, short-term loans, and your monthly bills. Since we're putting in monthly net pay, we'll also put in our monthly bills. So a quick ratio is your current assets divided by your current liability. So let's say our friend Frank, that we're doing our assignments for, has cash in the bank of $5,000, and his monthly net pay is $5,000. So again, that's monthly net pay. That's minus taxes, minus insurances, and any other deductions. So that's a pretty good amount of $10,000 a month. Well, at least $10,000 current. Let's put it that way. He has rent of $1,200. He has credit card payments of $350. He has his car payments, which include his car, his gas, oil, insurance, everything else, $750. His utilities, $750 a month, and he's still paying back some student loans. So everything that's very current per month, $3,350. So what we would do, since it's a math equation here, is we would look at putting $10,000 of assets divided by 3,350 of current liabilities gives us a quick ratio of 2.98. Now, again, this is just a statistical number, and in business and industry, you have industry profiles of what your ratio should be. And basically, business standards dictate 1.1 and higher. This means you're very liquid. And so, in a given time, Frank does not have a problem of paying down his liabilities through his assets. So he has more assets per his liabilities to pay them off. Now, if we were to put some different numbers in here, my friends, most people don't have $1,000 in the bank, and they do not have a net income monthly after everything's been taken out of $5,000. You can see how that number for many, probably 70% of Americans can be under 1.1 very quickly, which means you just don't have the assets of liquidity in case any trouble comes your way. Again, this is very much why we always want to have that emergency fund building up. It's just a little something extra as you're looking at your personal financial health. It's used a lot more so in the industry, but I think we can use it for ourselves. Wrapping up chapter 3. Well, I hope we now have a system to achieve our goals, to start saving money, which will always be a goal in our financial plan. We have the goal and the system to achieve it. I think we have a better idea of how to create a cash flow plan. And again, that is a bonus project. I believe that's up to 20 to 30 points, depending on how much you answer of it, and make sure you answer the questions beneath the cash flow plan as well. Why we need to keep good financial records. Remember, just think of it, if anything were to happen to you, could someone in your life be able to access your records and take over your estate at that point? And again, we're measuring how we're doing. We're measuring, our performance. And of course, now we have a couple of methods to gauge and improve our financial health. And that's always looking at our net worth and then looking at what types of liquidity we have. All right. So you're now answering your questions on your project. You're also doing your quizzes. Remember, you have 3 attempts to do those quizzes, so take advantage of that review that I have for you. You want to read chapter 3, and you want to also look at some of the notes and all the other resources that I have for you. Next up, we're going to look at taxes.